everyone. I'm Davinder Kaur. Think back to when you were 14 years old. Imagine if you were shown a picture of someone that you had to get married to. Or imagine if it happened to your daughter or to your sister. How would you feel? I'm sure you would be enraged. Child marriage is happening all over the world, and we have to help end this barbaric practice. I was born and raised in the United Kingdom. That's me when I was little. My parents moved from the Punjab when they were really young, and they moved to England. We were raised in a strict Punjabi household. My sisters and I were taught to do household chores when we were very young, and this was also that one day we would be perfect wives for a future husband. We were not allowed to date, as our marriages were to be arranged. When I was only 14, one day a man came over to our shop and showed a picture to my mom. My mom came over and showed me the picture and said, "He's a very good-looking boy. You're very lucky to get a chance to marry this kind of boy. What do you think? Do you say yes?" If I'd said no, she would have slapped me. She would have said, "Who do you think you are? Your friend's getting married to the boy from India. What's so special about you? What makes you so different?" So this was happening to all my friends in high school in Bradford. They had similar backgrounds than me. Their parents had also moved from the Punjab. And so they were getting their marriages arranged too at age 14. We used to watch Bollywood movies, and we saw that girls were shown pictures of who they were supposed to marry to, and if they looked upset, nothing good would come out of it. They had to go ahead with the marriage. This was our tradition and our culture. So within a few weeks, the boy came over, and a meeting was set up at my uncle's house. I was told how to behave. I was told just to look at him and say hello, and then just pose for pictures and smile for the camera. So I did as I was told. And it was only years later that I realized that was my engagement party. The following year, we went to India, and I thought it was for a vacation, but really, it was a business trip, the business of arranged marriage. This was the chance for my mom to buy clothes and jewelry for my wedding, and also for us to go to the boys' village, where we would meet the rest of his family. And again, I would be posing for pictures, and again, I would realize that that was my engagement party, my second engagement party. So upon returning back to England, the next several years, I knew I didn't want to get married to this boy. I used to read romance books, Mills and Boon books, and I would pick up a book and I'd be able to read the book in just one entire night, not being able to put it down. I wanted that romance to be whisked off my feet. And now I realized that I had to get married to someone I had barely spoken 10 words to. So I told my mom, "I don't want to get married." And she said, "How can you do this to him? How can you do this to his brother who loves you like a sister? How can you do this to us?" I told my mom I wanted to go to college, and she said, "There's no need for you to go to college. You're getting married when you're 18. So I was denied my rights to an education. I knew I had to get away. So I planned that as soon as I turned 18, I would just run away. I booked a bus ticket to get to London. I'd never been there before. I didn't know anyone there, and I didn't know where I was going to stay. I had some money saved up from doing odd jobs at the shop, and so I got to London. Long story short, I stayed there for about 2 months. One day, I was homesick, so I picked up the phone and called my mom. And my mom said, "Your grandma's really ill." Since I was really close to my grandma, I felt guilty and thought I had caused my grandma to be ill. So I went back home, but my grandma was just fine. It was a trick. the guilt and pressure were put on me to marry the boy. And the man who had shown the picture to my mom, the matchmaker, he had a daughter who lived in Denmark, and he knew that the boy who was coming over to marry me would have a hard time because immigration was clamping down on arranged marriages. And he'd already been to England, and so they would think that maybe he was coming over to get citizenship, and they knew that this was happening a lot. So the man thought, okay, it's going to be better if he goes to Denmark. He's never been there before. He can say he wants to, see the rest of Europe. So I knew that I couldn't get away from my family again. They were all watching me now, and there's no way I was going to be able to run away again. And I thought to myself, I only have to get away from one person if I go to Denmark, from him. And I know it didn't make sense, but still, I was practically a child. So I went to Denmark. Within a few weeks, my family flew over to Denmark for the wedding. And the days before the wedding, there was a flurry of activity. And I have tried to blot out a lot of what happened on the wedding day. All I know is everybody was celebrating. They were all happy. And the only one who wasn't happy was me. But no one seemed to notice or care, and I was a bride. So I went on honeymoon with my husband to Italy. We went to Venice and Rome. And then during the honeymoon, I told my husband I did not want to be intimate with him again. And he wasn't happy about that, but he, somehow accepted it. So we slept on different beds. And I realized that we didn't have much in common. He didn't speak hardly any English, and I didn't speak fluent Punjabi. So when we got back to Denmark, I realized that we were very, very different. He was controlling. He would tell me, if you get lost and you need directions, you're not to ask a man for the directions. You need to go ask a woman. And he also told me that when I wasn't with him, I didn't need to wear makeup. Now, my whole life, my mom had told me I could only wear makeup once I get married. Now, he was telling me the opposite. I didn't like this. I did not want to be controlled. So I told him within 2 weeks of the wedding that I want a divorce. He was not happy with this. And in fact, he was shocked and called my parents behind my back. My mom sent my dad to Denmark within 6 weeks of the marriage. My dad tried to talk me into staying in the marriage, and I wouldn't listen to him. And I told him, no, Dad, I have nothing in common with him. I want out of this marriage. My dad was upset, and he went to a bar. My husband joined him at the bar. And then within a few hours, my husband came back home alone and drunk. He turned the music on really loud, and I knew something bad was about to happen. And he came over to me, put his hands on my neck, and told me, if I can't have you, no one else can have you either. And I knew instinctively I had to act really fast to save myself. So I told him, please forgive me. I know I've been a bad wife. I'm going to be so much better. I'm really sorry. He relaxed his grip on my neck, but proceeded to have his way with me. When he was done, he went to the bar to get my dad. And I knew that when my dad got back, I would tell him and he would help me. But when my dad got back, my dad said, he's your husband. He has every right to do that to you. My dad was the only family member in the strange country they sent me to, and he didn't want to help me. I knew I had to get away from them both that night, from my dad who didn't want to protect his own daughter, and from the evil monster of a husband they had forced me to get married to. So on the pretext of making tea for them, I grabbed my bag, got down that hallway as quietly as I could, ran down the 100 steps, and for the second time in my life, I was running away. For the second time, I fled for freedom. I got a taxi when I got down on the street, and I managed to get to a friend's house. And within a few days, I filed for divorce. Nobody should be forced to marry a stranger and be put into danger. So the reason why parents do this are a couple of reasons. It could be to do with tradition and culture, as was in my case, as you heard from my story. It's also to do with control. When parents move from a different country, they think back about the country where they came from, and they're trying to carry on the traditions. Their minds are frozen in the past. So when they see their daughters become westernized, and of course we are going to be, if we're born in a different country, we want to wear skirts and dresses, or sometimes makeup. We're not allowed to, but if we do that, then we're like forced to get back into like control. And also there's the fact about the community. The community is always watching. So if a daughter steps out of line, and the community will gossip. And to parents, the biggest thing is their respect and their honor. So if anybody, laughs at them or talks about the family, the family will do anything for their honor and their dignity and pride, sometimes even going as far as killing their own daughters. These are called honor killings, and this has happened so many times. In fact, it's even happened in this country. So there's a number of reasons why it happens. Girls also have very little value. Sometimes when a pregnant mother finds out she's having a girl, girls can be aborted before they're even born. And if they are allowed to come into this world, the parents sometimes, all they're thinking about is the girl needs to go as soon as possible. It's a burden, another mouth to feed. So I'm not saying all parents think like this, but it does happen around the world. And so also like girls, this really puts them at a disadvantage. When they're married early, it puts them in a cycle of poverty. They're married to this man that they're relying upon him for all their financial security, and also like they don't have any education or job experience. So if they want to leave him, they can't, because they're not going to be able to manage on their own. So we're not really helping our children when this happens. And also if girls get pregnant, their parents would rather them marry the father than be disgraced in front of the community. Also, if a girl gets pregnant by a rapist, the parents sometimes will marry them off to the rapist rather than send him to jail, because they don't want the community to ask, where is the father of the child? They would rather she marry the rapist. He gets away with what he's done, and now they force their child to marry. And this has happened to some girls that I know, even here in America, child marriage survivors. And so we really have to help end this, because this is so wrong. If we can't even vote till we're 18, we can't smoke or drink or buy drugs till we're 21, the very fact that we can't vote means that we don't know our own minds and we can't make informed decisions. So obviously kids cannot consent to marriage. All child marriage is forced marriage. So how are kids being put into this? It's because their parents are the ones that want this. Their parents are coercing their kids into marriage. When parents sign off on the marriage papers and the judge sees that the parents have signed off, the judge will think that the parents have the best interests of the child at heart. Now he's going to sign off. This could potentially put the judge as being the one who's also complicit in the abuse of this child, as well as the flower seller, the cake maker, and everybody who attends the marriage of this child, celebrating the marriage of this child. We're all complicit in the abuse. This has really got to stop. If you think about it, this poor girl, every day this man is coming and raping her. She's just a child. She should never have been put into this situation. The very people who are supposed to be protecting her are putting her into this situation. The man who is now married to her has a license to do this every day. If he wasn't married and he did this, he will be put away in jail for the rest of his life, or hopefully even worse. But now he has a license to do this. Furthermore, if she gets pregnant, kids shouldn't be having kids. Her body cannot bear, childbirth. It's not mature enough for her to carry another child. It puts her at risk and the unborn child at risk. And why are we doing this? So what can we do about child marriage? There's a couple of things. I think that education should start at the schools. The schools should be teaching kids about forced marriage, child marriage, and human rights abuses. There should be a name of a trusted adult that a child can go to. There should be the number of an organization that they can call. And if we empower our children with education like this, they can respond appropriately to their parents in such a way that their parents can maybe become educated and realize it puts our children at disadvantage to marry early. So I think education definitely. And then also there's organizations out there. Unchained at Last, which is one of the organizations here in the United States, is committed to ending child marriage and forced marriage. And they have already raised the marriage age to 18 in 16 states. There's still 34 left to go. Last year, we came really close in California to raising the marriage age to 18, but it didn't pass. So what I would suggest is if you go to unchainedatlast.org, donate to them, volunteer. If we all join together, together we are stronger. We can make change, and this is what needs to happen. So what have I done since my forced marriage? I moved to America when I was 22 years old. I put myself through college. It was hard. I started at age 27 and I didn't graduate till I was age 40. And I tell my children now, you know, education first, then marriage, because otherwise it's like really, really difficult. You have a full-time job and you have kids, it's really, really hard to focus. So what we need to do is let kids be kids, not brides or grooms. Education first, then marriage. No one should be forced to marry a stranger and be put into danger. I've also wrote a book and I do talks so that I can spread awareness, because I feel it's so important to spread awareness about this. There's so many people who don't even know child marriage is happening in this country. It's my job, and it's the job of everyone to stop this. My book is called Forced to Marry Him. It's the same as the title of this talk today. And again, if I can help even one other child to be prevented from going through what I've gone through, and it didn't just happen to me, it happens to hundreds of thousands of girls all over the world. So please, if we can all just sign petitions, write to our legislators, and beseech them to raise the marriage age to 18. I will be grateful for that. Thank you so much for listening.